Hi guys, how are yins doing? It's Gerald, Ginger Gerald Stitcher here. Hope you're doing well. I am. I'm enjoying my week off from school. So, just been doing a lot of stitching. I did some traveling over the weekend to my mom's house. Well, the end of last week and the weekend. So I got to go to Pittsburgh and that was fun. I got this shirt, City of Champions. Gotta love it. Pittsburgh's the best, which we'll talk about later. So, I'm going to do a real quick update and then do the 20 random things about me that everyone seems to be doing lately. So, yeah. So, while I was at my mom's house over the weekend, every year the visiting nurses up there have a charity book sale. Well, I guess it's not charity; it's for them, for their fundraising efforts. So they have a used book sale every year. So my mom and I went to the book sale, and of course she was there for like ever because she's a big reader. I'm not so much a big reader anymore. I used to be. I haven't read a book in a couple years, but that's because stitching takes most of my time. Anyways, but while I was there, I did look for some cross stitch stuff, and I was able to find 3 books. And while you're going to be surprised because you're going to be like, this isn't really your style of stitching, there are some things in these that I think I might stitch up at some point. Plus, they were only $1 a piece. So, and what they are the Seasons Remembered and Leisure Arts books of hardback books. So this one is from 1994, Seasons Remembered, and there are some pretty neat things in here. I kind of like this fall one in the back. Of course, you're not going to see because there we go. That fall one is kind of cool, even though that woman kind of has a unique face. Yeah. So, yeah, again, there were some neat things in here. I didn't mark anything offhand. But if you're interested in seeing, oh, these are neat. I kind of like these. Not that they would ever fit into my house at all, but the seed pack. Where can we see it? The seed pack patterns. Not my style at all, even though it does remind me of growing up. Oh, and I kind of like this piece. The wildflowers with the butterflies. So yeah, that's one of them. I got 3 books total. There's also Christmas portraits. So it's basically a whole bunch of Santas from Leisure Arts. This is from a long time ago, 1991. So a lot of neat Santas in there. There's also a neat, I think it's in this one. See if I can find it real quick. Yeah, it's kind of a neat angel of liberty. It's called Liberty Angel. So definitely not the Mirabilia, or is it Lavender and Lace? That one that everyone's doing, that's the discontinued pattern, but that's kind of neat, a little bit different. So anyways, there's that one, and then I got Timeless Ornaments. Again, I'm not a big ornament person. I might stitch 1 or 2 here and there just for my friends or whatever. Something, just some. These are, small things I can fill in between my large projects that I like to do. And this one's from 1995. And there was one in here. I think it's this one. There were some neat. Yeah, they're supposed to be elves, but they kind of look more like gnomes, and I really like those. And of course, you guys know my affinity for gnomes and mushrooms. So that might be something I stitch up at some point. Anyways, so that was my only purchases since my last video. And probably going to be for a while because I'm just not really in the purchasing mood. So while before I went to my mom's house and after I came back, I was working on Henry and I got a page finished on him. So I'm very pleased with that. I was going to try to finish out the row before I go back to work next week, but I just kind of was like, I was being drawn to another project, so I decided to put Henry away. So there's Henry. Page 10 is finished. This is going on to page 11. But whenever I started that on page 10, I wanted to go ahead and get all that confetti done. So very happy with that. Let me see. There we go. Henry's done on page 10. So that means that I have 1/3 of all the pages done. Now, of course, some of the pages are very small, not much on them pages, but I do have 1/3 of the pages done. Once I get that row done, I'll be 2/5 of the rows done. So slowly getting there. Of course, now the rest of the picture is all of his shirt and his clothing, so it's a lot of confetti. But we're getting there. And then my last whip, the only other project I've worked on in the last week or so was Let Freedom Ring by Lila Studio. And I took this one with me because it was small enough that I could stitch it in hand at my mom's house. And then I wanted to get this started, and I finally got all my threads. So here is my progress so far. I've been working on it since I came back from her house. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I was concerned about there's 2 different colors up here on the roof. Of course, this isn't showing it at all, and it's very, very mild modeling. Or not modeling, variation. I don't know. You know what I mean. And then the other concern that I started today, but I'm going with it because it's still fine, is that my Freedom, which is I believe a Gentle Arts. Is it Gentle Arts? Yeah, Gentle Arts sampler. Because this is my first time ever stitching with Gentle Arts. And what is the other one? Classic Colorworks. My very first time stitching with them. My Freedom seems to be a lot darker than what everyone else's is. So you're not seeing, there's actually 2 different colors in these windows, but you can barely tell on some of them. But I'm just going with it. It means that mine's a little bit different than everyone else's, which is fine with me. So that is the only stitching I've done. So that is my update altogether. So real quick update there with my purchases and my projects. So let's get on to the fun stuff. 20 things about me. And this is actually going to be a little bit more because once I started, then I didn't think I was going to be able to get 20, but then once I started writing them down and hearing all the people's ideas from who have gone before me, I kind of ended up getting a lot more than 20. So some of them kind of like play into each other. So we'll just go with it. So, okay. Number 1, my favorite color is yellow. Not a surprise. Everyone, I think I've said it multiple times before. So, yep, my favorite color is yellow. I have a yellow car because I love yellow so much. Number 2, and if you follow me on Instagram this last week, you will know you will know this. My favorite food is liver and onions. I know it's like everyone else's hated food, but I love liver and onions. I grew up eating liver, and the best is my mom's liver and onions. I keep looking over this way because I'm actually using my iPad today and not my computer. My computer's camera is at the top, but the iPad is on the side. So let me just see if I can adjust it a little bit so I look more into the camera. Okay, so growing up, I loved eating liver. And so whenever I was at home, my mom asked me what I wanted her to make me, and I said liver. So that's what we had. Love liver. Number 3. Oh, and if you have children and you don't want them to hear swear words, you might want to cover their ears for this one. So I have a chronic disorder of RBF. And if you don't know what RBF is, it's resting bitch face. I hardly ever smile. It's not that I don't mean to smile, that I don't want to smile. I just don't smile. And most of the time, people are like, smile. And I'm like, I am. And they're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, but I feel like I am. So even though I don't look like I'm smiling, I feel like I'm smiling, and therefore I smile. Does that make sense? Anyway, so yeah, I I hardly ever smile. Doesn't mean that, and so a lot of times that makes people think that I'm not approachable, and that I don't want to be talked to, or that I'm just I look like a miserable person. I just don't smile. It's just not natural for my muscles in my face to smile. No, I do smile. I mean, you've all seen me smile when I'm like really happy or something, but or when I'm fake smiling, But so yeah, I don't smile, or I smile rarely. It's a joke at work because they just know, and when people don't know, and then the people that do know laugh whenever the people don't know, they're like scared to death of me. No, I just don't smile. Anyways, number 4, I have an OCD, and it's not, it's not diagnosed, and I know that's a very serious condition, but I am obsessive about even numbers. Everything has to be even numbers. I hate odd numbers. So if I'm listening to a TV show and I have to turn up the volume because I can't hear it, and say 15 is a good number for me, I can hear it, I will turn it up to 16 just so it ends up on an even number. Happens on my TV at home, it happens on my car radio, it has to be an even number. If I fluff the pillows whenever I go to bed, it has to be an even number, and it usually has to be a 12 or a 24, because 6 is my lucky number. And so multiples of 6 are okay. So 12, 24. Luckily, they're usually always, even. So, and of course, I was born on the 24th. So that's like my go-to, like the perfect fluff of my pillow is 24 smooshes with the hands. Okay, so I just have this weird thing about even numbers. Everything has to be even. It will drive me nuts if I end something on an odd number. And I've tried to do that with the TV, and I always have to go back and change it back to 20, like an even number volume level. I know, I'm strange. But that's what makes the world go round, right? Number 5, I have a twin brother. We are identical. And I am the oldest. You ask by how much are you the oldest? I'm the oldest by 1 minute. I am 1 minute older than my twin brother. We are polar opposites, very different personality-wise. But yeah, I have a twin brother. Number 6, I have a self-diagnosed social anxiety. I hate small talk. I don't like talking to people I don't know. I hate hugs. I have a huge thing about people touching me, especially people I don't know. And a little story about that. Yesterday I went for my very first massage. I was given a gift card for a massage for Christmas, and I finally got around to using it yesterday. And once I was able to get past the fact that there was a random unknown or random stranger touching me, I was able to relax. I can't stand people touching me. I don't like hugging people I know. For the longest time growing up, I would refuse to hug my mom and my grandmothers just because I don't like hugs. I have gotten better at that, and I will hug my grandparents, my grandmothers, and my mom. Doesn't mean I like it, but I'll do it. And so getting back, I am horrible at small talk. I would rather sit in dead silence than do small talk just because I don't know what to talk about. I am very bad at it. But once I get to know people, I'm very easygoing, and I'm very comfortable to talk. But if I have to meet new people or be in a crowded room of people I don't know, I just shut down and I'll go to the wall, and I'm a wallflower. So I usually surround myself with people that are very outgoing and talkative, and that way it kind of helps it breaks the system. So it makes me intertwine with people. I typically normally wouldn't because they're always talkative. So then I have to go and follow them, and then it gets me to be social. So yeah. And again, these are all randomly written down. As I was sitting, I just randomly thought of stuff, and so I wrote it down. I grew up on a farm and around a farm. I wasn't always living on the farm, but my family had a dairy farm. We raised registered Guernseys, and I was in 4-H, and I showed in the county, the district, and the state level. I've also shown at the All American Dairy Show in Harrisburg. Registered Guernseys. Those are the brown and white cows, if you don't know anything about cows. Number 8, my bachelor's degree was music education, and my concentration was voice. So I was a singer in college. I still am a singer. I sing in the local church choir. And my favorite things singing in college were German lieder songs or German folk songs. Number 9. Oh, did number 9. I hate hugs. Hate them. Don't hug me. Number 10. Number 10 and 11 go together, and somewhere else, one of the other ones kind of go with this one. I am a lover of cities. I grew up in rural Pennsylvania and hate it. Not that I hate it, but I prefer cities. I prefer being close to a city. 10 miles outside of Philadelphia on the New Jersey side, so I live right along I can walk to the subway train line so that I can get into the city within a half hour. I don't have to drive or park or anything, and it's really nice. So I try to go as much as I possibly can. I'll be going a couple times over the weekend. Love it. I love the cities because I love architecture. I love anything about buildings, and especially skyscrapers. If it has skyscrapers, I'm there. Excuse me. So, love cities, and because of that, I am a geography buff. I love maps. I just have this innate knowledge of geography. Like you can ask me about a certain area and I will tell you about it. On that note, whenever I have free time and I'm not stitching, I'm often looking at Google Maps or the maps on the iPhone, because or if I'm watching a TV show and they're talking about a certain geographic area, I will get on my phone and I will search it up and I will find it and look about all the areas around it. I look at the highways and the waters, and I'll go down into the satellite and look at the 3D view of the city if it has a 3D view. Love it. So I love maps. Of course, my house is decorated with maps and globes, and I love stitching them. Of course, my first project getting back into cross-stitching was a map. Number 12, I have an exceptionally good memory. And that means that if somebody in my family can't remember something and I was there for it, they come to me and ask me what happened, because they can never remember, but I can remember little minute details. It's ridiculous how much I can remember. And I don't know why, it just happens. It's just natural for me to remember stuff. If someone says something in a meeting at work and 2 months later they don't remember what they said, I can tell them what they said because I just remember it. And it's anything auditory. So I'm really good at remembering stuff that I hear. Like if I'm in a college course and there's a lecture and then there's a test after the lecture, I never have to study. I don't take notes because it's all up in here. If I would have to read a book about it, I'm horrible at it. I'm very much an auditory learner and need to hear it to remember it. And I'm hoping I have enough light to get by. If not, I'll have to turn on the dining room light here. Number 13. I lived in Korea for a year, and I think I've said that before. And I taught English in Korea. I found the job on Craigslist. I was interviewed. I sent my resume, never expecting to hear back. 5 minutes after sending my resume, somebody called me and said, "We really like your resume. Do you want to have an interview?" So 2 days later, I had an interview, and then a month later, I was on a plane for Korea. Yeah, so I taught English in Korea at a private school, And then a couple years after that, I was actually offered a music teaching job in Dubai for a 2-year contract, but I turned that one down just because of the way it was offered and everything. It just seemed like a fishy situation. So I didn't want to be stuck in Dubai for 2 years in an uncomfortable or a bad experience. So I didn't take that one. But loved it. Loved being in Korea. And while I was in Korea, I had the opportunity to travel for a weekend, and I had a choice of going to Fukuoka, Japan, or Hong Kong. And even though Hong Kong was 6-hour flight away, I took that opportunity because city skyscrapers, some of the most iconic skyscrapers in the world. So, and it was the number one place on my travel list that I wanted to go to. So I was able to get to do that for a very quick whirlwind weekend. So, number 14. And I know I'm going through these pretty quick, but I don't want to talk your ear off for stuff you might not have any interest in. So, I met Mr. Rogers, the childhood TV star from PBS, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And this also ties into another one that's farther down. My father was graduating with his master's at a seminary, a religious school, and Mr. Rogers was also a graduate of that school, and so he was at my dad's graduation, and I was in 5th grade, and I was lucky enough to get to meet him and shake his hand. Of course, it was just real quick, but yes, I got to meet Mr. Rogers and shake his hand. And of course, he's from Pittsburgh, and I love Pittsburgh. City of Champions. Go Penguins, go Steelers. Go Pirates, even though they suck. Okay. So, along those lines, I am the son of a preacher man. Of course, I'm not a true son of a preacher man because he wasn't a preacher whenever I was born. He was a change of, midlife career change preacher, so I don't have all the bad behaviors that most preachers' kids do. I was actually a very, very, perfect little child growing up, so at least I like to think I was. So going along with my father, I am a 3rd generation member of my family to get kidney stones before the age of 20. So the very first time I ever had kidney stones, I was a senior in high school. I woke up one morning at 5 a.m. I think it was 5 a.m. on a Saturday maybe. And horribly immense pain. Never felt anything like that before. Didn't know what it was. Woke up my mom and dad, told them about it. My dad was like, oh, go back to bed. It'll be fine in a couple hours. Of course, him and my grandfather both had the kidney stones, but around the same age that I did their first time, and they've had them multiple times ever since. But yeah, so I usually get kidney stones or a kidney infection once every couple years, depending upon circumstances and what I eat and everything like that. But for the most part, I get kidney stones once or twice, or once every 2 or 3 years. Okay, number 16. I am a jack of all trades. I have had all kinds of jobs. I have been, of course, my degrees are in education, so I've been a music teacher. I've been a special education, still am a special education teacher. I taught English in Korea. I drove tractor trailer once I came back from Korea because I couldn't find a teaching job right away, so I went to school to drive semi-truck. So I drove 18-wheelers for about 2 years, 2.5 years. I've been to all 48 contiguous states in the United States. I've seen lots of highway. I've been within 1 mile of the Grand Canyon and never saw the Grand Canyon. But it took me about 1 year to get to the 48th state, which was North Dakota. Once I got there, it was kind of boring after driving that. So I have sold shoes. I've sold jewelry. I have worked in a library. I cleaned it. My very first job was cleaning a Catholic elementary school for a summer. That was a lot of fun, getting up at 5 a.m. and scrubbing down elementary school hallway walls, scrubbing off, children's scuff marks from their shoes. Lots of fun there. So yeah, I've had lots of random jobs. I have worked in retail, selling clothing in college. I also, whenever I worked in Maryland, I got a part-time job at Burger King, and worked there I went to my first shift. They put me right away onto the sandwich making line, and then my first order was a tender crisp. And I'm like, what is a tender crisp? Like, I never even heard of a tender crisp. And I'm like, I go to Burger King all the time. They're like, oh yeah, it's our chicken sandwich. I'm like, who goes to Burger King and buys chicken? Of course, I'm going to buy, so I didn't even know what they had on their menu. That's how bad it was. So I lasted 3 hours at that job. So yeah, I am a jack of all trades. Let me just turn on my light here real quick because it's starting to get dark. Now we have wonderful unnatural light. Okay. Almost done. Number 18. I do not know how to cook with herbs and spices. I grew up on a farm, so all we ever did was eat with salt and pepper. So that's how I know how to cook. I would love to learn how to cook with spices and herbs, but I'm partially too scared and partially have no idea what most spices taste like. Of course, I eat out a lot, and they cook with that stuff, and I like that, but would not know the first thing about cooking with herbs and spices. Number 19. I have a very hard time sitting still and not doing anything. So if I'm watching TV, I have to be stitching. Or if I'm not stitching, I'm looking at my iPad, like I said earlier, Google Maps or something like that. I can't take vacations where you sit down and relax and read a book or sit on the beach for an entire day. I have to be on the go. I have to have a very structured, organized vacation plan. I'm going to New York City on Saturday, and I have a fair, it doesn't have to be to the minute, but I need to have an idea of what I want to do, and I need to have stuff to do. So anytime I've ever gone on vacation before, we are always on the go, busy doing stuff. And when we did have those times that we sat on the beach, we might have done it for 2 or 3 hours, and then we're like, okay, we're done. Let's move on to the next thing. So I need to be moving, on the go, and busy. And my forehead is a bright light. How wonderful is that? Okay. So yeah, when I go to the movies with my friends, it's very hard for me to sit still for that. And now, of course, movies are like 2.5 hours long, and it's just, unless it's a really, really good movie, I am just biting at my teeth, grinding my teeth because I have to sit still for so long. That one we'll do last. As most all of you do, I love coffee also, but I drink mine black. I know that's rare also. If I go to Starbucks, I just get a black coffee. I don't get anything fancy. And I was there on my birthday. We were in Pittsburgh for my birthday. Well, the day before my birthday. And of course, Starbucks, if you have the app, they give you a free coffee on your birthday. And I walked in and I was like, I'd like a venti coffee. And they're like, that's all? I'm like, yeah, that's all I drink. So no matter what, it was free, right? Doesn't matter. So I drink my coffee black. And that's pretty much all I drink is coffee and water and the occasional pop. Yes, I'm from Western Pennsylvania. We call it pop. So, and the next one. I am a diehard Pittsburgh supporter. So no matter where I go, Pittsburgh is my team. Steelers, Penguins, and even the Pirates. And but they're getting better. but I live here in the Philly area, so it's Philadelphia Eagles and the Philadelphia Flyers. And I'm like, nope, Pittsburgh, city of champions. Number 23, to many of you, all of your disgrace and, booze. I don't like Halloween. I never did like Halloween. I never understood the holiday at all. Who, all your life you're taught not to talk to strangers, but one night a year you can dress up in some random costume, go up and knock on somebody's door and ask them for candy. Doesn't make any sense. So I do not like Halloween. I also don't like dressing up, and then again that goes back to my social anxieties. I actually have to go and ask somebody for candy that I don't know, so not going to happen. I think the last time I dressed up as a kid was in 5th grade, and that's only because we were forced to in elementary school. And I think the last year I did dress up. I was a garden gnome for Halloween, so I made my own hat, and yeah, and I took white powder and made my hair all gray and white and my eyebrows. So yeah, that was kind of fun. I did enjoy that, but I typically do not like Halloween. So, getting back to my birthday was on June 24th, so last Saturday, because today is June 29th. And I found out that not only do I share my birthday with a very cute goat in Minnesota, I also share my birthday with Pam from Just Keep Stitching? Pam and Stephanie? So happy birthday, Pam. I already wished it up to you on Instagram, but I think is it Chloe, the goat? Chloe. Happy birthday, Chloe. And here is why June 24th is the best day to be born on, ever. Exactly 6 months from June 24th, do the math. What's 6 months from the day, June 24th? It's December 24th. If you are a Christian, what holiday falls on December 24th? Correct, Christmas Eve. So, typically as a child, you have to wait until the morning of December 25th to get all of your gifts. But because my half birthday landed on the day before Christmas, my brother and I would always convince our parents to give us one Christmas present a day early to celebrate our half-year birthday. So we were, 10 and a half, 8 and a half, whatever it was. Of course, didn't I just give you two even numbers? So, perfect day to be born. So I can always celebrate my half-year birthday on December 24th. 2 more, and 3 more, because I have to go back and do that last one. I have been through every type of weather disaster except an earthquake. I have been through a tornado. Tornado touched down not far from my house. I've been through hurricane because I was around for Superstorm Sandy, and that was a hurricane. I've been through I take that back. I haven't been to a volcano yet. So earthquake and a volcano. I've been through a typhoon in the Pacific when I lived in Korea. Two typhoons hit Korea while I was there. I've been through monsoons in Hong Kong, but I have not seen a volcano erupt, and I have not been in an earthquake. But of course, if I would have been in the United States, whenever I was in Korea, there was an earthquake in Pennsylvania, and everyone felt it. But of course, I missed that. But I was in Korea during the bad earthquake in Japan. That is it, Fukushima, where the nuclear power plant was damaged. So I was around in the area, but I didn't feel it. I was definitely too far away for that. But I did have like the aftermath. They were all worried about like, is the nuclear, nuclear materials going to come over into Korea. I've also been part of a dust storm. Whenever I was driving truck, I drove through a few dust storms in Colorado. There near Colorado City. Is that it? Maybe. What's the city below Denver? I think that Joe Kenda from ID Channel is from. Let me look at the map. I'm having a brain moment. Colorado Springs, that's it. Colorado Springs. Just below Colorado Springs, I was in a dust storm. I was also in a dust storm that blew over from the Gobi Desert in China into Korea, and they called it the yellow sky or something like that. I don't know. So yeah, I've been in most all natural earth or weather disasters. Second to last, I do not. Oh yeah, I'm not an emotional person. I have emotions. I don't show them. Again, RBF. And because of that, I'm a wonderful listener. Don't get me wrong. If you're having an emotional day and you need someone to talk to, I'm all ears. I'll listen to it, but don't expect me to give you any kind of like emotional response back, because I just don't know how to do that. I'm not really good with empathy. I deal with stuff. A lot of emotions I just hold in because that's me. That's what I do. So and I think that goes back to partially my social anxieties, as well as I just don't get it. Some of the things that people get emotional about, I'm like, I don't get it. It's not that I purposely am that way. I don't get it. So the last thing on my list, and some of you may know this, but most of you may not, is my first name is not Gerald. I am the third. My dad and my grandfather both had of course they're both passed now, but I am named after my dad and my grandfather. And when I was born, they did not know I was going to be a twin, so my brother has the same initials as I do. So all four of us have the same initials, HGP. So of course my first name is not Gerald because Gerald is my middle initial. My first name is Henry. And you're all going to be like, oh, but you're stitching Henry. And he looks a lot like you. Yes, I know. Henry VIII is my doppelganger. Along with my brother, but you know. But I'm not Henry VIII, I'm Henry III. And now you all know my first name. But I go by Gerald. Casually, professionally, my name, I do go by my first name. So like whenever I sign paperwork and everything, I go by Henry Gerald. So, yep. So there you have it. 20 plus, let's call it 20 plus random things about me that are not stitching related. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm an open book as far as if you want to talk to me about those 20 plus random things. If you have questions about them, feel free to ask. Instagram, follow me, ginger.gerald.stitcher. On here, please feel free to subscribe, comment with your questions. I have been getting better at responding to some of the questions and comments on Instagrams, or not on Instagram, on here on YouTube. So feel free to ask here, but definitely if you want to open up a private message on Instagram, I'm all for that. Feel free to contact me, talk to me. Again, once I get to know you, I'm very talkative. So, and then I probably get to the point where I'm too annoying and I talk too much. So, oh, and lastly, I'm looking forward to the retreat. So all of you going to the retreat in Minnesota in October, looking forward to that. I already have my plane ticket purchased. I'll be flying in Friday morning, leaving Sunday night. Luckily, I got round trip non-stop tickets for a very good deal. Good thing I live close to one of the, what is it, the sixth largest city in the country. So, anyways, y'all have a wonderful yins have a wonderful week. Keep stitching and enjoy all that stitching, and happy 4th of July. And is it Canada Day coming up? I'm not sure. If so, happy Canada Day. And all of you who are not celebrating a bank holiday, happy whatever day. Bye.